Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Ledford. I just wanted to thank you guys for coming to our first Spring 25 workshop for COSI. We have a guest speaker with us today, Justin Hinneker. And Justin, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Justin Hinneker. I am oh Lord, it's a long title, Director of Student Advocacy, Access, and Support. What that means is that I oversee two programs I'm here to talk about today, Disability Resources and PAC Cares. Um, and I've been here at the university for a little over 11 years now. Um, Used to be in the same area as Ryan in terms of the PAC Center, reporting through the PAC Center. So great office over there. I love the library. Use the library. Uh, so yeah, I guess today I'm going to talk about a couple programs. Hopefully you haven't heard too much about them. Hopefully you've heard a little bit about them from your syllabi or from orientation or whatever other networking opportunities you've had with the university. So to get us started here, I want to talk about PAC Cares. And our motto is that college should be challenging, not overwhelming. We can help. Let us help. So what PAC Cares is a group of folks who um, will meet to discuss referrals we get regarding students who are in distress. Maybe Ryan meets with one of you and sees that, oh my gosh, there's a situation happening with academics, or maybe a financial challenge that is occurring, or something else with your personal life. And maybe there's some resources or support the university could help with so that you can be or feel less stressed and go back to dealing with your classes, getting homework done, and whatnot. So we do offer free resources and support. We have case managers who can assist. I am one of those case managers as well, along with my supervisor, Bonnie Fruland, and our full-time case manager, Shayna Riboteau. So some of the things that we can help with, students who are facing housing or food insecurity, we want to make sure that you are getting, you've got the right environment that you're living in, that you've got access to food, that health issues are not seriously impacting your ability to um, do your classwork, do your coursework. There's a psychologist by the name of Abraham Maslow who has this concept of Maslow's hierarchy. If you think of like a triangle and the base, the bottom part being those like base needs, food, water, sleep, those base physiological needs. And then the next level being security, making sure you've got somewhere to live, that you can be safe. Um, and next level up being groups that you can belong to, friends, family, etc. And the top level being your full actualized self. We want to make sure you can spend as much time in that top full actualized self portion that you can. So if you're experiencing mental health challenges, if you're experiencing high level of stress, or if you're displaying patterns of behavior or seeing others who are displaying concerning patterns of behavior, or maybe need access to resources, those are the kinds of things that PAC Cares can help with. Some of the common resources we're connecting students to include housing on campus. Some of our students need emergency housing. We can connect them with the right people on campus for that. We have a food pantry on campus. And so we're often providing supplementary food to our students. So that way, whether maybe they don't have enough food at home, don't have enough money, we can at least help supplement what they have. A lot of times it's connecting to academic resources. So maybe we're not set up in the right set of courses. or we don't have access to tutoring, we're having trouble with the classes we're in, we're going to connect with the PAC Center and Ryan or Brock Kilgore or Dara Harris or whoever your academic advisor might be to make sure that you're set up on a path for success. And maybe we connect you with one of the tutoring centers we have. Oftentimes our students are experiencing financial distress as well. And so we'll talk with financial aid about what kind of support there is through FAFSA, what employment opportunities are there, and connect with the Career Center as well. There's also a program called Signal Stop that I'll talk about a little bit later. And maybe it's health related. We do have our wellness center on campus. We do have a counseling center on campus. So oftentimes we'll refer students to the counseling center for those mental health check-ins. As a student paying your full-time tuition, you do get access to, I believe it's 8 free sessions of counseling per semester. So if you think about that, that's like one every other week. Wolfpack Wellness does offer vaccinations and like checkups too. If you're feeling a sore throat coming on, they might be able to help with medication or checking in, giving you some tools to stay healthy or reduce how sick you get. So I've got a scenario for y'all, and I'm hoping those of you who are with us today will be able to jump in either through audio, through your microphone, or in the chat. But we've got a scenario. So I'm going to ask you for your input here. Let's say you've got a group project with your friend named Morgan. Morgan usually has an upbeat attitude. They attend class regularly, and they contribute to group projects. Over the course of the semester, you notice that Morgan is showing up late to class. They are looking a little disheveled, and they aren't responding to group chats about the projects. What would you do in that kind of situation?
So in this situation, I would talk with Morgan and maybe ask her if she felt comfortable sharing what's been going on with her.
Yeah, checking in. That's a great response. Anyone else? Yes, we've got a chat that says, check in on Morgan, have a chat, talk and do a check-in on Morgan, make sure Morgan's doing well, see if they need help, for sure. Oops. I'm gonna go back one real quick. Hey, Pat Cares referral. Yes, definitely. We can do a Pat Cares referral. So these are all some great suggestions. We can talk to Morgan, check in and see what's going on. Who's running the class? We can check in with the instructor too, right? I know it's kind of scary to talk to your instructors, but they're there to support you too. And then we can also submit a Pat Cares referral. We'll talk about how to do that in just a little bit. I got one more scenario for you. So we check in with Morgan. We learned that Morgan's been working off campus. They're having a hard time keeping up with assignments. Their family pet recently passed away, and they're just having a hard time coping with that loss and the stress of everything. What might we do next? Or how might we respond to them with this new information? Again, I'll let you respond either through the microphone or in chat.
Maybe recommend a support group.
Offering support groups, definitely.
I would share my own experience with the counseling center.
Ooh,
Let them know that's a resource.
definitely referring to the resources on campus. We have a second for the counseling center. Yeah, so definitely checking in, letting them know. sorry, I'll go to my next slide here. Letting Morgan know, hey, I care about you. I'm worried about you. We can check in, refer them to walk them to the counseling center. We can also submit that Pat Cares referral. Sometimes I like to talk about what's an emergency and what is not an emergency. I'm sure some of you might have felt that way at times. Like, when do I call 911 versus am I just overreacting and I can handle this or somebody else can handle this? How many of you have felt like that? Give me a thumbs up emoticon, or say, yep, that's me, or whatever you want to do. Yep. Thanks, Nicholas. Yeah, for sure. So I've felt that way oftentimes too. I don't want to overreact. 911 seems like ooh, that's a situation that's pretty scary. So at what point do I do a Pat Cares referral versus call 911? So with Pat Cares, I think of it as a non-emergency response. We have somebody who they're in distress for sure. They're stressed out. They're not feeling their best, but that person's not necessarily in danger right now. And we might be able to resolve that distress once they get connected to certain resources. So once they get, a meal in them, the distress is over. There are some situations where we might actually have an emergency. And I'm not saying don't do a Pat Cares referral, but we might have a legitimate medical emergency. That person might be in danger to themselves or to others. And that's a time, right in that moment. And that's a time where we're going to call 911. How many of you have called 911 before? You can indicate through emoticons, heck yes, whatever you want to do.
I mean, I have on accident through the SOS on my phone, but besides that, I've never been in a situation where I had to, thankfully.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you that you haven't had to do that. Okay, so we don't have a lot of experience, it looks like, calling 911. Let me tell you, as somebody who's been a dispatcher for those kinds of calls in the past, we have a checklist of questions that, 911 has a checklist of questions they're going to run through with you, just to get all the information so that they can respond appropriately. So don't worry, even if it's an emergency, even if it's an accident is what I mean. If it's an accident, they're not going to come after you, as long as you're not misusing resources. Jocelyn, I'm sure you didn't get like a court summons for dialing SOS or anything like that. Hopefully not. But yeah, no, call 911 when you're having an emergency, and they will walk you through what information they need. Even if you're on campus and you need our sheriffs, our campus security to respond, call 911 if you are in an emergency. So how to refer? We try to make it as simple as possible. We've got a QR code that you can, if you're able to, use your phone to scan, or we've got a URL, or on our website, there's that little Google search function in the top left corner, right corner. I think the magnifying glass is in the right corner and the text box comes down. When you search for Pat Cares, it should be the first thing that comes up. Or through our website, there's the drop-down boxes. You can find us under the student life drop-down. So I always like to tell people, like, when writing referrals, I like to be informative. Give me person first language. Instead of saying like Justin saw Ryan throwing beer bottles at students. Sorry, Ryan. I would say like, I saw Ryan throwing beer bottles at students. and then making it factual. So instead of saying like, gosh, Justin looked crazy. Well, I don't know what crazy looks like, right? So let's say, Justin's hair looked unkempt, it was sticking up in all places. He was running around with one shoe on, one shoe off. Um, he looked red in the face. You know, that's giving you a picture of somebody who's looking a little like somebody you'd call 911 on, I think. Um, Having that factual what happened is so helpful. Um, and then we love detailed reports. Detailed does not have to be long. Tell us exactly what happened. That could be short, but provide us with as much information as possible. This is typically what I tell our RAs anyways. Um, and be very objective in the language you're using. So instead of saying like Justin looked crazy, right? Let's use objective terms. What exactly did we see? If we don't have enough information, don't be worried or don't scared about putting in a referral. We'll connect with you if we need more information. But I like to give everybody a heads up on how to write these referrals because that can be kind of a daunting step too. So when you hit the submit button on our report, what happens next is that a member of our Pat Cares team is going to reach out to that student that's being referred. And again, it's not a reporting thing. It's not like Big Brother is watching. It's more of a we're concerned. Somebody is concerned. Let us help you out. So a member of our Pat Cares team is going to reach out to that student. We're going to gather more information to see, what's going on. If there's a financial issue, let's learn more about that and figure out what we can do to support. We'll assess that information and determine what is the risk to the student self or the risk to the campus community. We want to make sure that nobody is harmed, nobody is going to be injured, nobody is in fear for their life, right? So we're going to assess the information, figure out what's the best way to support this person, and then connect the student to the appropriate resources. So again, just to double check on submitting a referral, we have the QR code, we've got the URL, and we've got how to navigate the web page. I will also send this slideshow to Ryan so that y'all can have access to it as well. And I think you'll have access to this recording too. All right, so there was one resource I said I was going to come back to. Who remembers what that is? That's okay. Single Stop. So Single Stop is a confidential screener. It provides folks who sign up for it with immediate eligibility results for what kind of federal, state, or local resources they could qualify for, like food stamps, or there's a program, state program called Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, or there's support programs to help pay for energy, power for your home. There's all kinds of resources out there. And so this is like Single Stop is like a great resource to kind of check and see what resources might you be eligible for right off the bat. You can fill this out, and again, it's confidential. Nobody else can really see what you filled out, what you reported, except for my colleague Shayna, who then might reach out to say, hey, let me know how I can help you connect with these resources. That's another great way to put in, you can put in a Pat Cares referral for yourself doing this too. So great resource, that Single Stop. I've even looked, I put my information in there just to see, I'm fine, I'm not in distress, but what might I be eligible for? And it was kind of interesting to see what there was available for me. It wasn't a lot because I'm okay, but it was interesting, very interesting. So I said that there was two programs that I was going to be covering today. First one was Pat Cares, and the second one is Disability Resources. And so Disability Resources is really all about enhancing students' academic effectiveness. We don't want to uh, make anybody subservient or have to depend on anybody. We want to find ways for students to participate free of the need for anybody else and earn an education. So again, we're a free resource. We provide free support to students. So I've got a question for y'all. When you hear the word disability, what do you think of? Feel free to use the chat or shout it out. I often think of wheelchairs, physical disabilities for sure. When you say physical disabilities, Ryan, what do you mean?
Just like disabilities that maybe you can see as opposed to other ones that people might have that aren't as noticeable.
Yeah. So like maybe I don't have use of my legs or I walk differently,
Or you might have an aid that you're using.
using I'm using a crutch or using a cane stick. Mental health, definitely. Physical or mental condition that limits someone's movements or other activities. Very Webster's dictionary. I honestly, these are all not bad definitions. So the formal definition that I use is a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits a major life activity. So what would a major life activity be? That would be like eating, breathing, digestive functions, immune system function, um, learning, trying to think of some other ones. Basically, anything humans are capable or typically do would be a major life activity. And so when we think about college, what is the major life activity we're doing in college? Learning, right? So the purest definition is a physical or mental impairment substantially limiting a major life activity. That is a disability, at least under the law. We also often see disability as an exclusion from social or physical spaces due to the design of the environment or people's attitudes. So maybe I'm somebody who has a physical visible disability. I'm lacking certain fingers. I'm lacking fingers in general and half my right leg. And so when we put events on floors that have to be accessed by stairs and we only have the stairs to get to those places, I'm going to have a harder time doing that. So now I'm disabled, not because I'm lacking limbs or fingers, but because we've located events in physical spaces I can't reach. I can do stairs just fine. Some days are better than others for the knee I do have. And then sometimes maybe we're biased against people with disabilities. I think about, oh, here's a great question. How many of you think somebody with a hearing disability cannot be a nurse? Nobody's responding because nobody wants to think that they can't. No, I'm kidding. Maybe y'all are woke enough too. That's great. Yeah, no, like maybe our behavior is that if you're blind, you probably can't be a nurse, or if you're deaf, you can't be a nurse. That kind of attitude can create barriers for people too. I also think about how I do my job. I think about how the environment, the person, and the person with a disability, how those things interact, the disability, the person, and the environment. And there's times where, you know what, maybe we can do the class just fine, but a learning activity might be difficult to do. So there's different ways of thinking of disability. I think that we have to be open-minded to what that looks like. And I like to think of disability as more of less of a negative or an impairment, a medical situation, and more of an experience. So we've thought of some great examples of disabilities. We saw mental health, we saw physical types of disabilities, mobility, medical or chronic, sensory, brain injuries, learning disabilities, autism spectrum, and temporary disabilities. So maybe somebody is temporarily has a sensory issue or temporarily has a mobility issue. I've never broken a bone before, but I can tell you that's going to create a whole different situation for me than what I'm typically used to. So why is it that we have a disability services office? It's all about civil rights. So it all starts back with 1973, the Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, which basically says, hey, CSU Pueblo, if you want our federal monies to run a financial aid program, then you can't discriminate against people with disabilities. At least if you want to operate in the United States. So that starts us off with, here's some protections. We are not going to be biased against people with disabilities. There was a second law that came out in 1990, was revised in 2008, that basically said, okay, if you are a public entity, such as a public school, you must ensure access, both physical access and program access, to all your programs, services, anything you offer. And then, because we offer housing on campus, we cannot discriminate against people on the basis of disability when we're signing people up for campus housing. So those are the three laws that really impact why we do what we do, besides the fact that we want to be inclusive and allow everybody to participate totally, right? So thinking about CSU Pueblo is committed to making our campus accessible, which means that we want all individuals, regardless of their abilities, to be able to access our facilities, our electronic and information technology, and educational opportunities fully, independently, and in a timely manner. And so Disability Resources, as a component of the university, we're here to ensure that students are provided with reasonable academic accommodations and support, which help enhance their academic effectiveness and promote independence. Okay, so we want to make sure that on your own, as much as possible, you're able to participate in your classes, you're able to attend your classes. So just so you're aware, there are roughly 220 and more students here at CSU Pueblo who have requested services. That includes 9.5% of our undergraduate students. So if you scan the QR code or use the URL, you'll get to our website where most of our information is, especially to get started. And there are typical adjustments or modifications we've made in the past. It could be physical modifications of the classroom, such as specialized kinds of seating or where the class is located. If it's in a building with a elevator that doesn't work, we don't expect the elevator to work all semester. We might move that classroom to the main level if there's a student in there who is using a wheelchair or has other mobility challenges. Or a student who is deaf may need sign language or captioning. We also do testing adjustments. We've provided note-taking support. We've done course policy adjustments as well. So if students need more time for their work because of processing delays, neurological processing delays, or medical concerns that impact attendance, we can do that. And then also creating adjustments for housing and dining as well. So That might be a private room due to medical issues and a private bathroom. Somebody who is deaf probably isn't going to hear the fire alarm going off. So we have to make sure that there's like a strobe light or something like that in that person's room. Sometimes we have students who have severe allergies to certain foods and need specialized diets. So we make sure that the dining center can accommodate those. So how do folks get started? Again, we have our website, which is going to list all this stuff, but essentially we want students to complete our application for services. Real simple. We ask that students fill out the identification information. What's your name? What's your net ID? And then provide information about the disability. What is the challenge or the barrier you're experiencing? What's the disability? What's worked for you in the past? What kind of adjustments are you requesting now? And then we do require documentation of a disability. Number one, it helps us verify when the disability is not apparent, when I can't look at you and see the disability. It helps us verify that there is a disability. Number two, there's times where maybe I have a hard time explaining what the barriers are that I experience with my mobility disability. And so that documentation can help fill in those gaps. So yes, we do require documentation of the disability, which can be brought to an appointment with us. It can be submitted with the application, all that fun stuff. I mentioned an appointment. We do want students to engage with us. We like having an appointment so that we can meet one-on-one, or bring your family member, bring a significant other, bring whoever you want to bring. But we want to meet to discuss the challenges that you're anticipating, past strategies that you've used, and help navigate what that might look like in a class you're not familiar with, whether this is your first year or your 10th semester, or you've been here a little bit. We want to discuss what that could look like and what kinds of support that could be provided. So we always encourage students to schedule a meeting, which you can also do through our website. You can also find us in the Oshiato Student Center, and you can also give us a phone call as well. All of our contact information is on the website. But I listed myself and my supervisor, Bonnie Fruland, here, our contact information. Email is really the best way to get a hold of us if you have specific questions. But otherwise, if you have any general questions, if Ryan's okay with it, I am more than happy to answer any questions right now.
Do you guys take walk-ins or do you prefer that they fill out the form to get an appointment?
For disability services or resources, I always say you're going to have less disappointment if you make an appointment. We may or may not be busy, and because Marcus's schedule is usually full meeting with students, I'm usually all over the place with PAC cares and disability services. There's oftentimes we're not available a lot, so I always say scheduling an appointment is going to be the safest way to do that. Again, we have an online scheduling system. If you go to our website, there's a little button that says schedule an appointment. It'll take you to our online system. You get to choose the day, the time. It'll sync with one of our calendars. It plays eeny, meeny, miny, mo with me and Marcus's calendars. And so it'll randomly assign you to one of us based on the day and the time of day that you choose. So if we're both available, it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo. If one of us is busy, but the other one isn't, then it'll be that specific person. But yes, we do encourage appointments. We will also meet with you via Zoom, via in person, or by phone. I always like Zoom and in person just so I can see you, hopefully. Especially if like you've got a visible disability, that's going to reduce what kind of documentation we need.
Mhm.
Sorry, I just answered a whole lot there.
And then, how often is Pat Cares typically checked? Is that something that's checked like daily or weekly?
Great question. Sorry, 1 second while I cough. We check the referrals Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So
Okay.
we're not always like staring at the screen, but we do check it daily.
Okay.
Again, like submit those referrals. If you're seeing a friend or if you yourself are feeling a little lost, feel free to do a self-referral. We've had plenty of students who've done that. And we get faculty and staff who submit referrals as well. Because if we have a concern about a student, we want to make sure that they're all right. So yeah, submit those referrals anytime. They're not checked at night, outside of business hours, and they're not checked on the weekend. So again, if you're having like an emergency situation, if somebody is talking about like wanting to harm themselves or harm others, and it sounds like a very immediate thing, 911. Our sheriffs on campus can respond. Even if you're not on campus, they'll get the city police or wherever you're at. The law enforcement will respond and get appropriate resources to that person.
Awesome. Well, if there's no other questions, I wanted to thank you guys for showing up to our first workshop for this semester. I wanted to thank Justin. This has been very, very helpful. I will share the slides with you guys. I'll also share the recording. And then as a housekeeping, I just wanted to let you guys know that we are doing our FAFSA workshop on Wednesday, February 5th from 11 to 2, and there will be tacos. So if you guys want to go fill out your FAFSA and grab some lunch, you guys are free to come to that as well.